Hello and welcome to Good Morning UK, Have Your Say, a Force for Good's mid-morning show coming to you live from our nerve centre here in the great British city of Glasgow, with me, your host, Alistair McConnachie. And this is our 15th Good Morning UK, Have Your Say broadcast, which again just shows the value of stick-to-itiveness. Stick-to-itiveness. Just keep doing it, and before you know it, you've built up a long history of programs. And we are so grateful to all our viewers and supporters for taking this program so far. And on this auspicious day as well, the 21st of April, for it was on the 21st of April that Her Majesty the Queen was born in London in 1926. And it is Queen Elizabeth's 95th birthday today. And on behalf of A Force for Good and our team, we wish her congratulations on this day. And we're so lucky, really, to be living through this second Elizabethan age. And historians and people will look back on the time that we are living through right now, and they'll call it the second Elizabethan age. And we here today are living it, and we are really so blessed to be able to do that. Now, folks, we've got a great show coming up today. Thank you for the comments that are coming in. Thank you to Linda. Always good to see Linda from a dull and chilly southeast London. Well, do you know what? Here in Glasgow, it is a lovely sunny day. Good morning to you, Debbie and Barry. And Jay Fong, all the best to you. Catherine will be in touch later today. Ryan, good morning to you, and great to see Pauline here. Pauline was a guest on one of the earliest Good Morning UK Have Your Says. Ibrox Park from the glorious county of Down, and James Peebles and Marjorie, and always good to see Alan and TC in here. TC, good for you. And Navister saying UK Warriors, I think you mean there. And to Kazzy, good stuff, Kazzy. And Ian, happy birthday to Queen Lilibet. And Bill, hi to you, Bill. Now, at 12 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, at the top of the hour, we have a guest coming in for 20 minutes. It's Oliver Down from the UNN Unity News Network. Very pleased to have Oliver on. He's going to be talking about what UNN are getting up to. And we know quite a few of our viewers also watch UNN, and Oliver broadcasts a lunchtime show on Wednesdays, and he'll be telling us more about what he gets up to. That's coming up at 11 o'clock. So please stick around for that. And just before the hour as well, we'll have a competition which will be for one of our little UK presents here from our Dark Chest of Wonders, which we'll get to. We'll get to that just before the top of the hour, and we'll announce the winner of the competition just before the end of the programme. So it's an exciting time that we're moving into. Kazzy says, yes, Oliver is fab. Good. Glad he's got a fan on already. Good morning, Steve. An exciting time that we're moving into. There's 15 days to go until the Great Scottish Ejection. We are calling it the Great Scottish Ejection, which is going to purge the Sturge. That's such a funny phrase. I laugh every time I say it. It really is hilarious. Anyway, we're going to purge the Sturge on Thursday the 6th of May. And how are we going to do that? Well, if you're an SNP supporter, this time round you're not going to vote for the SNP. You'll vote for any of the other people on the ballot paper, because there's going to be plenty of choices. Here in the constituency of Glasgow Pollock, where we are trying to get Humza out. That's Humza Yousaf, the Injustice Secretary. We're advising SNP people, don't vote for him this time around because he's anti-free speech and he's bringing in strange laws that are going to be messing up, intended deliberately to sort of mess up people's understanding of what gender and sexuality are all about. He's bringing them in, which are only going to have negative consequences for women and for women's rights. So you can't vote for him if you're a woman. And you can't basically vote for him if you believe in normality. So Humza has to go. Humza has to go. And we're going to be getting rid of him. And all the others as well. And, for example, Humza is in Glasgow Pollock. Okay, now, he only got in last time because 54% of the constituency did not bother to go to the polling station. Okay, only 46% of people in the constituency of Glasgow Pollock bothered to vote. And that was mirrored throughout all the constituencies in Glasgow. I don't have the figure right in front of me, but it was almost 50% did not bother to get out of bed last time round. So what happens is the SNP, they bring out their vote. They get their vote out, and everybody else just doesn't bother. And so that's the only reason that these people are getting in. One of the reasons anyway, a major reason why they keep getting in, certainly here in Glasgow, is because so many people don't vote. So we've got to get the vote up. And if we can get the vote up, then we can get our people out to vote. And we can get Humza out. And we can purge the Sturge. And it's not impossible that Anas Sarwar could beat Nicola Sturgeon. That's within the realms of possibility. And imagine if that happened. That would just be amazing. It would be a game changer. And indeed, it would change the direction of Scottish politics, which at the moment is so miserably one way. So miserably one way. I'll get to that in a moment, actually. But if we got Humza out, and if we got Sturgeon out, and then that's going to change the nature of Scottish politics, and we're going to be back, hopefully heading back towards just proper politics, which is debating the rights and wrongs of tax policy and health service and the functioning of the actual economy and society, rather than the identity politics which Scotland has been stuck in for the last 14 years under the SNP, which is an identity politics party. Okay, they obsess about Scotland breaking up the United Kingdom. And that's what it's about. It's about breaking up the United Kingdom. It's not about Scotland going its own way. It's about destroying the United Kingdom. Okay, it's about destroying one of the biggest, greatest countries in the world. That's a huge thing. That has to stop. Nice comment there from Graham. Good morning from the northeast of England and a son of a proud King's Own Scottish Borderers, Sergeant Major of World War II. Never give up your belief in the great UK, as we say in Sunderland. Keep the faith. The King's Own Scottish Borderers, that was obviously the border regiment. And when I was growing up in Castle Douglas, I remember we had a talk from a KOSB sergeant. Unfortunately, the KOSB, like so many proud Scottish regiments, they all got merged or abolished, that was under the Tories as well, I remember writing to Ian Lang when I was just a young man. He was the Defence Secretary at the time, and I goes, don't abolish the King's Own Scottish Borderers because, if you're a Unionist, the British Army is really good for the Union because it helps people throughout Scotland to identify with the bigger picture of Britain. I was writing stuff like that to Tory MPs when I was a teenager, and I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. In fact, I fast forward about 30 years, and Ian Lang was tasked by, I think it was the David Cameron government, to find ways to save the Union. And I wrote to him, and I goes, I wrote to you about 30 years ago with some ideas which you promptly ignored, and now you're sitting about asking us how we can save the Union. Oh, man. Pauline says, purge the Sturge. Enough is enough. One state politics is a disaster. Yeah, Absolutely. Bill asked the question, could Sturgeon hold on for 5 years and go up for re-election if there was no referendum? I don't think so. Well, interesting question. Interesting. Helen obviously mentions something we're all concerned about, and that's splitting the Unionist vote. Certainly, if you wanted to vote tactically against Sturgeon, then you would vote for the Labour Party. If you wanted, that's Anas Sarwar, if you wanted to vote tactically against Hamza Yusuf, you would vote for the Labour Party, which is Zubir Ahmed. Patrick says the SNP are basically a cultural socialist movement. They care little for businesses. That's true. That's true, isn't it? And of course, Robert says it depends upon the area, and that's absolutely true. If you wanted to vote tactically, for example, against Angus Robertson, the soon-to-be forgotten one, who is standing in Edinburgh Central, then you would vote Tory. If you wanted to vote against Slender Man Swinney and get him in the big wheelie binny in Perthshire North, then you would vote for Murdo Fraser, who would be the Tory. So it does depend upon your area. Just Google your postcode, find out what Scottish Parliament constituency you are in, and then look to see essentially who's in second place back in 2011, and that would, generally speaking, be the tactical vote option. But of course, there's other people on the ballot paper, and some people don't like tactical voting, and that's entirely up to you. We're not telling you who you should and shouldn't vote for or anything like that. We're just saying tactical voting is an option that some people may find appropriate for them. And certainly in some areas like Sturgeon's seat and so on, it's really the only choice if you want to get her out. Ryan says, abolish the Scottish Parliament Party are standing, giving Unionists in Scotland a vote on the abolition of Holyrood for the first time since 1997. That's a good point, Ryan. They are standing in every regional seat. That's in the 8 regions of Scotland. They have got a candidate. And I noticed, because of the way that they're spelt, abolish, AB, they are at the top of the ballot paper. And so it's going to be interesting to see how many people just walk into the ballot box at the polling station and the polling booth on the day and see that at the top of their ballot paper and choose to vote abolish the Scottish Parliament. That could actually be a surprising number of people. We'll just have to see. But that's on the second vote. That's on the proportional representation regional ballot. Christopher's making the point there that after the election, the UK government must revisit what the so-called devolution settlement to reform along the lines Canada did with regard to the Quebecois. What that means is they set up something called the Clarity Act, which to an extent said that if there were to be any more such referendums, then various things would have to be followed. For example, there would have to be a minimum turnout and a minimum majority and stuff like that, things that would make it harder to break up the country. And I know some people are advocating that such a thing is appropriate in the United Kingdom also. Certainly anything that can remind us that we are one nation and we shouldn't be broken up so easily by simply a one-off vote on the day. And talking about that, I saw the Tory leader Douglas Ross being harangued really by some kind of upstart journalist yesterday, and I have to say Douglas Ross did acquit himself very well, and the journalist kept going on in his upstarty way about what's the democratic route to Scottish independence then? What's the democratic route to Scottish independence? And Douglas Ross didn't want to really explain that, because if he gave a straightforward statement, then the media would then twist his words, and then they'd say, Douglas Ross says you can leave the UK if you do this and that, and then suddenly it'll be Tories advocating that we can leave the UK if we do this and that. So sometimes journalists ask questions that you cannot give a straight answer to, because if you give a straight answer to it, they're going to twist your words for their agenda. So sometimes politicians have to talk over the question, or they have to pretend that they don't understand it, or they just have to ignore it and say something completely different, because too many times, if a politician gives a straight answer, then that straight answer, that honest to God straight answer, will be abused and twisted by the journalists. And people say politicians never give a straight answer. Sometimes they can't give a straight answer, because if they give a straight answer, their words will be twisted. And I thought Douglas Ross did a very good job of just kind of avoiding the question. The answer, of course, the democratic route, if you want one, would be at a British general election, because it's from a British general election that the SNP, it's from a British Parliament that the SNP would be removing its candidates. And so it's at a British general election, which is the proper forum to decide these matters, not at a devolved assembly level, not at the level of a devolved assembly, which is a physical arm of that British Parliament. So Holyrood is not the place to seek a second mandate for a referendum. The British general election is the place for that. But Douglas Ross couldn't say that in so many words, because then his words would be abused, and the SNP would then change their focus, and it would just be grist to the mill, basically. And so he did a good job of just pointing out, look, I don't want a referendum in the first place, which of course is quite right. But it did make me realise the extent to which the media are just promoting this issue in one direction, the direction towards a second referendum. They don't approach the politicians and say, now that we've had Brexit, wouldn't it be a good idea to bring the UK together? What are your policies for bringing the United Kingdom together? What are your policies for a more prosperous Britain? What are your policies for a more unified British Isles? Let's talk about those things. No. That the media don't want to talk about that. The media just want to push in one direction, and it is the divisive direction. It's the direction of trying to break up the United Kingdom. So everything is framed in that divisive way. And when you spot that, you just see how horrible that is, how nasty that is. The whole British mainstream media promoting that direction, the direction towards splitting up, not the direction towards unity. It's up to the rest of us to try to promote that direction towards unity, to look into the future and see the natural tendency of time being to bring us together, not to drive us further apart. But there are so many people who want to drive us apart, whether that's on the basis of division on the Union, or whether it's on other identity issues. They want to drive us apart rather than seek unity. Now, somebody who is good at promoting unity is, of course, Her Majesty the Queen, and it was on this day, on the 21st of April, back in 1926, when Elizabeth Alexandra Mary entered the world at 17 Bruton Street in London, which was the home of her maternal grandparents, the Earl and Countess of Strathmore and Kinghorn. Her maternal grandparents, the Earl and Countess of Strathmore and Kinghorn. So she was born there on 17 Bruton Street. 95 years ago, and we are so lucky to have her steady hand still with us. And she's head of state not just of the United Kingdom, but entirely of another 15 Commonwealth realms, which is to say countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and others. And she's also head of state, the monarch of 14 British overseas territories. So that's 30 states of which the Queen is the Queen. She's not just the Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but of another 29 states worldwide, which is amazing. It's amazing when you think about it. And she's always given good words of wisdom, especially during her Christmas message. And she's 95 today. She gave a 21st birthday message back when she was 21 in 1947. And she said, quote, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong." And that theme of the worldwide empire and commonwealth has continued to this day. She said, "I cannot lead you into battle." This is in 1957 in her Christmas broadcast. "I cannot lead you into battle. I do not give you laws or administer justice, but I can do something else. I can give you my heart." And I like this bit. "And my devotion to these old islands and to all the peoples of our brotherhood of nations. I believe in our qualities and in our strength. I believe that together we can set an example to the world." Fantastic. Fantastic. And in our Christmas broadcast in 2002, this is maybe my favourite. She goes, "Every day is a new beginning. I know that the only way to live my life is to try to do what is right, to take the long view, to give of my best in all that the day brings, and to put my trust in God." That was her Christmas broadcast in 2002. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories, Queen, head of the Commonwealth, defender of the faith. Congratulations, ma'am, on your 95th birthday today. April 21st, 1926. Amazing stuff. Thank you, folks, for sending in your comments. Don't forget, we've got Oliver Down coming up at 11 o'clock. He is our man at UNN, Unity News Network, and I see that he's in the waiting room already, so we'll be bringing him in about 6 minutes or so. Very interesting young fellow with a lot to say about the nature of the world. Adam says, "God save the Queen." Absolutely. And Ryan here with a good comment. "The media establishment are as contemptible as the political establishment. We have seen this continuous stream of bias reporting in relation to that of Brexit." And that's so true, Ryan. And sometimes I wonder the extent to which some of these mainstream media outlets are so angry and are so bitter about Brexit that they will cut off their nose to spite their face, and they will destroy Britain as punishment for Brexit. Sometimes I wonder about that, just because I can't see what else can explain their obsession with promoting the divisive politics of the Scottish nationalists here in Scotland, and even to the extent the Welsh nationalists as well, always promoting it, never changing that theme, never changing that direction, always just concentrating on division, not creating on unity. And believe me, if the media wanted to totally ignore the SNP, they could do so. The media can literally do anything. The media can make you believe that the moon is made of green cheese. I mean, they can do that. I mean, they'll get Hamza Yusuf. How would they do that? They would get Hamza Yusuf and other useful people like that to set up a law that says, if you hate cheese, right, you're a bad person. So it'd be like the Cheese Hate Crime Act, Scotland. So if you make a negative comment about brie, for example, or maybe camembert, or if you say, I really don't like cheddar, then no, mate, you can't say that. You can't say that in polite company. You shouldn't be saying that. Don't say the C word, you know. Don't say the cheese word. And so suddenly people realise, oh, you mustn't say anything bad about cheese, okay? You mustn't say anything bad about cheese, because then you're going to get socially ostracised. Twitter are going to cut you off. If you say, look, I've nothing against cheese. Some of my best meals have been with cheese. If you say that, people go, yeah, but that's what all cheese haters say. They always say that. They always say that some of their greatest meals have been with cheese. And so they will then get it into the public consciousness that, no, you can't say anything about cheese. Then suddenly they'll start doing programs about, you know, we've been looking at the moon again and we think it could actually be made of cheese, which looks kind of green. And people would go, green cheese in the moon. Are you having a laugh? And it'd be, no, what, mate, haven't you been watching the science? The science has been saying this. The WHO has come out and said that the moon's made of green cheese. Who are you to talk against that? And you'd be like, oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, I didn't know the scientists believed that the moon was made of green cheese. And before you know it, everybody's walking about going, yeah, the moon's made of green cheese. I'd love to get up there and just like take a bite of that. And that's how it works. And believe me, you don't think that could happen? It could definitely happen, believe me, because the media can make you believe absurdity, utter absurdity. The media can make you believe it. And as long as they've got the politicians and big tech on side to really cancel anybody who disagrees with the cheese agenda. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. And this year, and well, going right back in my life, I've seen total absurdity promoted as truth, and you can always tell. You can always tell. Anyway, just before we bring on our guest, we have got a prize for you from our dark chest of wonders here, and this is going to be the prize for the competition today. Now, if you have the answer to the question which I'm about to give you, please send in your answer to this address, and it's only at this address, okay? Contact at A Force for Good. If you have an answer to this question, and it's a fairly straightforward question if you are on the ball. The question is, the Queen was born today on the 21st of April, and heartiest congratulations to her for that. She is 95, so what year was she born in? Okay, this lovely tin of mince with a London bus and a wee Union Jack. This is going to the first person who answers that question, folks. What year was the Queen born in? Send your answer into contact at aforceforgood.uk. Send that in straight away and we'll announce the winner at the end of the programme, at the bottom of the hour. Now, very, very happy to have our guest today, who is Oliver Down, and I'm going to bring Oliver into the studio right now at 11 o'clock for a 20-minute interview. Good morning, Oliver.
Good morning, Alistair. Am I coming through loud and clear?
Great to have you on, and great to see that lovely flag in the background. Although I've got more Union Jacks than you, but you've actually got a real big one laid out there. Fantastic. All of us Union Jack lovers have to stay together. Oliver, not everybody will be familiar with UNN, so could you just please briefly tell us what is UNN and what does it do? And folks, send in your comments, and please do welcome our man Oliver today.
So, yeah, Alistair, on UNN, we're just a sort of grassroots news network. David started off Unity News Network. He campaigned hard for for Scotland to remain part of the Union back in 2014. And obviously, as we all know, the in case won the day. But what David saw was the media are an absolute disgrace in this country. The mainstream media, they have no morals. They will do anything. They will smear anyone over anything. And David thought, and still remains to think, that you need to have some sort of control or some sort of voice to get your message out via the media. That's where Unity News Network started. It's grown incredibly quickly. I've been on board with UNN since May 2019, and even in the time I've been on board with David and Carl, the organisation's grown very, very quickly. And we just make no apologies for being pro the Union, pro Brexit. We backed President Trump to the hill, and we make no apologies for that. And we say, I've got the show that I do on lunchtime, I've got a little intro and an outro video. We put our opinions on the table, and then when we're speaking from there, you can work out whether you think we're speaking sense or not. What the mainstream media will do is they will parade as unbiased. They will have their mask on as though they're unbiased, and they will smear your good ordinary working folk. And the thing I like about UNN and your show as well, Alistair, is that you give ordinary people a voice. Like my lunchtime show, I read the news out, and then I read the comments out. I punch like you do the comments onto there. You're giving people, ordinary working class people, a voice. And I think it's the future of media. I genuinely do. I call the BBC, ITV and Sky legacy media, because I think they will very much prove to be legacy media, because it's certainly the BBC. I think they're finished. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of when, not if, that organisation has to reform or whatever that looks like. But that's where we come from at UNN. And yes. I get a lot of positive comments. Actually, it was only through my work at UNN that there's a lot of people I know that watch UNN, that watch your show, Alistair, and they alerted me to your work, and you do a lot of good work. And the Union is something that certainly needs protecting, and I back your work and your guys' work to the hill, to be fair. So, yeah, thank you for your work you do, Alistair, as well.
Yes, well, thank you for that, Oliver. Yes, you mentioned David there. That's David Clues, who is a great lad. We had David on at our marathon 10-hour Union telethon, which was our one part of our Yule Britannia fundraiser at Christmas. David was one of our guests on there, and he is a visionary as far as alternative news media is concerned, and he's certainly got the knowledge of politics combined with the desire and ability to take it forward in the alternative news scenario and on social media. So he's got all of that going on, because sometimes people can be aware of politics, but they don't have the tech savvy, or the ability to do it. But he's got the ability to bring his knowledge and merge that with technology, and also to be a leader as well, and to build up a team that he's building around. So he's got you, and he's also got Carl Dean Pearson, who also runs a show as well, who's also from Scotland. So a great wee team that you've got there. As you say, your biases, as it were, are up front, in the sense that, people watch you, they know what they're going to get. They're not coming to you for, as you said, like dispassionately. They know they're coming to you for a pro-Brexit point of view, for an anti-lockdown point of view, for they know what they're going to get on the tin. Now, next question to you is, obviously you're of the younger generation. How did you get into this field of politics at your age?
Yeah, so I'm 24, and I've not been I wasn't like, as a kid growing up, like hugely politically engaged. Like, I see a lot of the people that, like, I'm at university, a lot of the people on my course, they're Labour or Conservative, and it goes down through their family. My family aren't hugely political. Actually, my granddad was a union man in the Royal Mail. He's certainly of the left-wing persuasion. But it was what went on with Brexit, and the way the establishment roared into gear, and I talk about two different establishments. You've got the media establishment and you've got the political establishment, and both worked, certainly around Brexit, worked hand in glove to try and smear the good ordinary people. What was it? The best part of 17.5 million people across the UK went out and voted leave. Those people were portrayed in the media as racist, as homophobic, as xenophobic, whatever label you want to put on people, which is utter nonsense. And how did I get in? And actually, in 2016, I didn't actually expect Leave to win, and probably if Remain would have won, it would have been argument over for a period of time, I guess, and we'd have all moved on. But as the time went on, I got more and more pro-Brexit. As the process went down the line, I saw the way, as I already spoke about, the media establishment, the political establishment. You saw the way the Europeans, or those within the European Union, looked to treat us as well. And that's where my sort of real interest came. And I started writing a blog at the beginning of 2019, because I didn't think Brexit would happen. The way the May administration was behaving, the way there was a lot of talk around a second referendum and that sort of thing. And I started writing a blog. It was only probably read by my mum. I can't say that there was loads and loads of views on it. And I was watching David's work, and I just sent David an email and said, David, could you just have a little look at my writing? Please let me know what you think I'm doing well, not so good, just for some feedback. And David emailed me back and said, hi, Oliver, can I have your phone number, because I'd like to give you a call. And then he invited me to come along, and it started off as one article a week, just to put on the website. Started off even as just an opinion section, and then as UNN grew, there was more opportunity for myself to write more for UNN. And then the biggest part of what I do that I enjoy the most is getting out on the streets and speaking to people. I've been to numerous Brexit rallies. I've been to Julian Assange rallies that personally I feel quite strongly about. I feel quite strongly about freedom of the press and that sort of thing. And I've more recently, last weekend and this weekend, I'll be out in London at some of the anti-lockdown rallies. And I just enjoy getting out and speaking to people, Alistair. That's where my love of politics comes from. It's not of deep, like philosophical whatever. I'm not a political thinker per se. David and Carl are very much political thinkers. I just enjoy getting out, speaking to people, and giving people a voice. It's for me, it's nothing more, nothing less than that, really.
Good. Well, that's exactly the formula that you need to be a successful political activist and also reporter, presenter of news. So that's really good. You don't need to tell me where you're studying or anything like that, but are you a student at the moment?
I am for the next couple of weeks, yeah. So alongside all my work with UNN, I'm also, coming into the last couple of weeks of my politics degree.
Politics, right?
Yeah,
right. Excellent. And how have you managed that in the last year with all this carry on? Have you been going into classes, or what's the deal with a student like yourself doing politics? How do they do that under COVID rules?
I've been in once all year, so I've been in once since the beginning of February 2020, because lectures were stopped long before the 23rd of March. But I happen to think we should get some money back because we don't get the service that we paid for, but that's by the by. But it's given... I'm very much someone who looks on the positive side of things, Alistair. The fact that I've been working from home for university has allowed me to do a lot more work for Unity News Network. So actually, for me, personally, it's worked out okay. But I think you or anybody that follows my work or UNN's work knows our thoughts on lockdown, on certain things. And we make no bones about that. And we don't expect everybody to agree with us. UNN actually has faced a lot of backlash for people that were pro-Brexit, were pro-President Trump, that maybe don't agree with us on our stance on lockdown and vaccination passports. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to agree. And that's what the reason I like about UNN and yourself. Very much pro-free speech. You'll give people a voice. And you haven't got to agree, but healthy debate. I like to think most of the people on our side of the argument are thick-skinned enough to have honest debate with people. If somebody tells me that I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to talk to them about it. I won't run for the hills like certain people. I get a lot of emails calling me some rather rude names, but that's by the by, and I guess that's par for the course, really.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about working from home, because there's a lot of problems, obviously, with this lockdown, and a lot of things are changing in the world, but I'm an optimist as well, so I try to always look at, well, what's the potential good things that could come out of this, even though we're sceptical of the global system and what it's trying to do to the individual, which that we can talk about that forever. But one of the good things that's occurred to me is the increased working from home could actually benefit family life, because hitherto we've had a lot of, let's just say it, women going out to work who have got young children, and the work that they're going to is often just processing jobs, telesales jobs, things like that. This lockdown has shown that a lot of that can be done from home. So what can then happen, and looking at a good part of this, is that more young women can stay home and work, do the work that they would otherwise have to leave home, leave their little children, leave their babies, and go to an office to do. They'll be able to do that and earn from home. So that is, I'm grasping here at straws when we're looking at the sheer power that is being forced against humanity at the moment. But that's at least something that's come out of it, I think. I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah, definitely, Alistair. So I've criticised lockdown and that sort of thing. There have been positive points. My dad made an interesting point to me the other day. When I was growing up, I never used to see my dad during the week because he'd be at work from morning till, and I'd be in bed by the time he got back from work. This lockdown's given him the opportunity to work from home. He would have also loved the chance to sort of homeschool us, to do that sort of thing. There has been good opportunities for family life and that sort of thing. And I'm not naive enough to think that everything in life has some positives come out of it. We can argue about whether the positives outweigh the negatives, and that's absolutely. And there are many people in this country, Alistair, who do think that the positives of lockdown outweigh the negatives, and that's absolutely fine. You're welcome to your point. Everybody is welcome to their point of view, and you raise a very, very good point there about potential implications, positive implications for family life. That's absolutely very much a valid point in my book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody asks here, what's the best way to watch UNN?
So, John, thank you for the question. I go live on YouTube on a lunchtime. All of our shows are now on DLive. I'm not sure how familiar you are with DLive, but all of our shows go out there. David does the first part of his show on Facebook on an evening. So the simple answer is DLive if you want to watch everything. If you want to watch my lunchtime show, I'm always on YouTube and DLive, and Carl very much does a mix as well. If you type in Unity News Network into YouTube, we come up, you can subscribe to the channel and you get notifications as soon as we go live. And the same with Facebook as well. Yeah, so I think that's the best way of answering that.
Right, so YouTube, basically, Unity News Network.
Yeah.
And it's... somebody mentioned here, don't forget Tina Brooker. I know she's part of the team as well.
Yeah, certainly. That was very... bit out of order of me there to forget Tina.
No,
Tina does a lot of...
I think it was me that just talked about Carl.
Tina does a lot of outstanding work. Like, the sort of work I do on current affairs... maybe take less research and I'll do more articles per day. Whereas Tina's articles are incredibly well researched. They're stacked with knowledge, and they're on things that you will never see spoke about on the mainstream media in a million years. And she gets right to the crux of the matter, which Tina does not get enough credit at Unity News Network. She does some fantastic work.
Yes. I think it's worth saying that, for some people, Unity News Network might be a bit of a shock, in the sense that you will mention stuff that perhaps you wouldn't and you don't hear anywhere else, and that might for some people be a little bit challenging, shall we say, or maybe even a little bit frightening for some people to be exposed to certain elements of information about what is happening in the world today. But it's certainly worth a look in on it. Now, I see it in the background there. You've got something that says, what does that say? No more lockdowns. Can you
no
just
more
tell
lockdowns,
us briefly what that's about?
So we are concerned about the extension of the Coronavirus Act. So for those of you that aren't aware, the Coronavirus Act was voted through at the beginning of March 2020. It was recently extended back at the middle of March. For another 6 months, and we're concerned that the Coronavirus Act will be extended again, which will in effect give the government the power to implement habitual lockdowns whenever they sort of think that cases or whatever infections of coronavirus are rising. And we're calling it at the moment, we're sort of in the networking phase, because if it looks like in September the Coronavirus Act is set to be extended, we'll need to mobilise onto the streets, in my mind, to protest against this. And that sort of thing doesn't happen overnight. So at the moment, we've got loads of leaflets, posters that we're dishing out, and just getting garner as much support as we can. We're also speaking out against vaccination passports. Let me be clear: vaccination passports, not vaccination. Because we feel it's an infringement on your civil liberty. So we've got all these different things going on. We've got a website. David's been holding numerous sort of rallies across the country. Did one in Sheffield, in London last week. We'll be down in London again on Saturday for the Stand Up X rally, handing out leaflets. If anybody sees me, just come up, say hi. I'm going to have loads of stickers, leaflets, posters. If you want some to dish out to your friends or put up in your window, you're more than welcome. So, yeah, that's what we're doing with our No More Lockdowns at the moment.
Well, I know that I saw David Clues was down in London, must have been about 2 days ago. I watched a wee video of him there speaking, and he was speaking with Piers Corbyn. Now, it's important to mention that's not Piers Morgan, and it's not Jeremy Corbyn. It's Piers Corbyn, who is actually Jeremy Corbyn's brother.
Is it?
And I always wonder how on earth Jeremy became like he did when he's got such a sensible brother in Piers, because Piers is pretty solid on all the important matters. He's against all this lockdown, and he's against, he can see through the whole climate change nonsense, which is just part of the system's attempt to put down the individual, to lessen the individual's impact upon the world, as is lockdowns as well. It's an attempt to get individuals just to stay at home, do nothing, travel nowhere, and essentially not make any impact, physical or mental, upon the world. That's all part of the agenda that's going on at the moment. But Piers sees through all of that, and he's a very entertaining and wise old chap. No question about it. And I was glad to see him standing next to David at that rally, and they seem to be best buddies, which I was glad to see. It's now 20 past, so our chat, which I think has been tremendous, I know lots of people have been sending in really good comments there. We must get you back on, definitely. And you're on today, are you?
I am. I will be live on the Unity News Network YouTube channel and on D Live. There you go, Linda Southgate.
Right.
Linda's. Can I just give a shout out to Linda Southgate and TC as well? They're massive supporters of yourself, Alistair, and they've been big supporters of me, and they're on my shows every week, 3 times a week, commenting, and I thank them very much for their support. It does mean the world to me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
And I second that emotion. Definitely, because it's always great to see Linda and TC on here every week. And I know you've got a lot of support there. Sandra says, totally agree regarding lockdowns and vaccine passports, which I know you're calling medical apartheid, which I quite like that phrase. That's a good one. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. Thank you so much for coming on, and more power to your elbow, Oliver. Okay.
Thank you very much, Alistair.
Until next time, give Carl and Tina and David my very best wishes. Okay.
Will do. Thank you, Alistair. Mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Fantastic. What a great chap there from Unity News Network. That's Oliver Down, one of the presenters there on UNN, which if you've never seen them before, it will be a wee bit of a wild ride for you the first time around. Certainly David's show in the evenings. And anyway, good stuff. Glad to give them a shout out. And he just spoke there about COVID lockdowns, and I didn't have the opportunity there to mention something that came up in the Daily Record this week. Apparently, by various measurements, the lockdown in Scotland under Nicola Sturgeon has been tougher and has lasted longer than the lockdowns in any other part of the United Kingdom. That was published online on the Daily Record on the 16th of April, and we'll put that link up there. And that was interesting to me because, the SNP will always say, but SNP supporters will always say, if we had an independent Scotland, everything would be rosy. And the implication there, of course, is that we would have a government for the people, and we would have maximum freedom, and we would all be having a great time. When in fact, this situation, this COVID lockdown, has demonstrated that when given the powers to do so, the SNP will be as heavy-handed, call it draconian if you want, but the SNP will be as heavy-handed as any other government, and certainly even more heavy-handed than the British government. Okay, so it's not as if if they get their so-called independence, that everything's going to be rosy in the garden. No, we'll simply have elected another group of people who have already proven that they can be as heavy-handed as any at Westminster. So instead of them responding to COVID with a commitment to personal freedom, their response was to clamp down even more than Westminster. To clamp down even more. Goodness me. It's all in the open. And that's so clear to us now. I'm just looking to see if we have got a winner, and we had quite a few people who have sent in the correct answer. Now the question for our competition, which was for one of these wee tins of mince, was in what year was Her Majesty the Queen born? And we do have a winner, and winning just comes down to like a millisecond to see who can send in the quickest. And this is the person who has won. Let me just put this up. Ian Moss. Congratulations, Mr. Moss. Please do send in to us your physical mailing address, and we will get this wee tin of mince out to you this afternoon. So thank you so much for all the people who jumped in with the correct answer. You were all correct, but it was Ian there who got in first. So congratulations to Ian for that. Well done, Ian. Congratulations to Ian. And Debbie, again, you were beaten to the post by a few milliseconds, Debbie. But thank you very much for coming in. The SNP are deeply anti-libertarian, says Christopher. That's relating to the extent to which they promote the not just this sort of endless lockdowns. Although we're going to be freed up. We're going to be freed up apparently a little bit, courtesy of Madame Sturgeon, from Monday coming. But not freed up properly. You still have to walk into a shop in a one-way circle. And I mean, did anybody see my video yesterday from Elder Park? Like, because I was down in Elder Park just taking some shots of the BAE systems where they're building the new frigates for our countdown videos. And they've got all this on the tarmac, keep left. Walking in a park, okay? It's a park. It's not the space station, okay? It's not a cupboard. It's literally an open-air park. Keep left. Total madness. It's like the green cheese on the moon thing that I was talking about. Can you imagine that happening? Like even 2 years ago, oh, we're gonna tell people to keep left when they're walking around the park. People. I'm not going to say what I think should happen to the people who come up with these ideas, but they really need to have their bottom spanked for a start. Goodness, silly people. Anyway. TC saw it, good. We're going to be out again tomorrow from part of the Glasgow Pollock constituency with a long-running countdown to the Great Scottish Ejection, which will be on the 6th of May. And we're almost there, folks. We're speeding up. We're also going to be going out on Saturday the 1st of May, because the marching wing of the Scottish National Party, known as All Under One Banner, are having a static rally in George Square. So we're going to have a static counter-presence to them, and we're coordinating all this with the authorities. And if you want to join us, then you will need to tell us, please, first, so that we can tell the appropriate authorities, blah, 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 the numbers that we are expecting. And so please do come out with us, and it'll be up to you. Just if you want to come out, please do. That'll be for about an hour or so, but it'll be static, so you'll have to, unfortunately, you'll just be probably standing around in the same kind of place for an hour. If you can think you can hack that to help defend the Union on Saturday the 1st of May, then please do contact us at contact@aforceforgood.uk, and we'll get back to you with the details. Brian says, you should see what the council are doing to the streets of Unionist Edinburgh. It beggars belief. Oh, I can just about imagine, Brian. And I agree, Sandra. Back to normal now. Surely back to normal now. But will they? Because there's a bigger agenda going on, and the bigger agenda is tied in with all this kind of, well, let's just not go there for the moment. Graham enjoyed today's show. Keep up the great work. We definitely will, Graham, with your help and with all the viewers that are coming in. And please do share this. If you're watching on Facebook, please share it. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Please give us a thumbs up. And if you're watching on Twitter, always remember, if you send a quote tweet with a positive quote, if you retweet us with a positive quote, then we can retweet you to 26,000 people, and that will help get your followers up. So that's a great way to do it on Twitter, is just retweet us with a positive comment at the top, and then we'll retweet that tweet to 26,000 people. Folks, wouldn't be a show if I didn't mention a wee book for the Union. We'll blast the link to that up, but this is a wee good primer on what it is all about, and we really do suggest that you get that. And also check out a new article which we put up this week, how you can help a force for good, and we'll put the link up to that in the comments as well. And that gives you a variety of ways that you can help, from the simplest, which is just simply signing up with your email address, so that we've got your name and we've got your email, and we can always stay in contact with you, come what may, because big tech is solidifying now, and it's identifying the voices that are going against its program. So hopefully we'll be able to stay on big tech, but if not, that's our insurance policy, is your email. Okay, so please do check out that article, how you can help a force for good, and we'll get that up there in the links. And just going to see, yeah, there it is. It's up there now in the links, how you can help a force for good. Yeah, we'll look into that, PBC. We'll look into that. Folks, it just remains for me to say thank you to all our viewers and supporters. Have a great day. See you next week. And on this birthday day for Her Majesty, let me say, God bless the United Kingdom, and God save the Queen. See you soon.